Apparently, receiving anonymous flowers at work isn't romantic. It's a spoiler alert for your entire marriage. My name is Alma Dawson. I'm 34 years old, marketing manager at a tech company in Austin, Texas, and I just found out that my 8-year marriage is performance art disguised as commitment. The roses arrived on a Tuesday afternoon. Regular boring Tuesday with regular boring client meetings. Our receptionist went full cheerleader mode. "Alma, someone's being romantic." My coworkers swarmed instantly. Classic office behavior. Everyone taking pictures, sniffing the roses, making jokes about lucky girl and relationship goals. I smiled. Played along. That's what you do when you think your marriage is solid, right? Opened the card. "He doesn't deserve you, but I see you." Masculine handwriting. Strong. Confident. Definitely not Dean's sloppy scrawl. My hands started shaking. Flipped the card over. A link. Handwritten URL. Short. Specific. Personal. I grabbed the flowers, mumbled something about putting them in water, and practically sprinted to the bathroom. Locked myself in the furthest stall. Sat on the closed toilet lid. Bouquet balanced awkwardly on my lap. Phone clutched in sweating palms. Typed the link. Private album. 16 photos loaded one by one. Each image a tiny bomb exploding in my chest. Photo 1. My husband Dean with a woman. Redhead, early 30s, gorgeous smile. Restaurant I didn't recognize. He's looking at her the way he used to look at me. Past tense. Used to. Photo 2. Same woman. Different day. Movie theater. His arm around her shoulders. Casual, comfortable, familiar. Photo 3. Grocery store parking lot. Her cart. His hand on the small of her back. Domesticity that felt like a knife. Photos 4 through 8. Different locations. Different outfits. Same woman. Same my husband. Coffee shops, parks, that boutique wine bar downtown he always said was too pretentious. Photo 9 made my vision blur. Them at a restaurant in Dallas. Dean had told me he was in Houston that weekend. Big client presentation, babe. Can't miss it. Apparently, the only thing he couldn't miss was her. Photo 10, San Antonio, Riverwalk. Holding hands like teenagers. He'd said, team building retreat. The only thing he was building was a second life. Photo 11 destroyed me. Supermarket. Regular suburban Tuesday vibes. Shopping together. Her laughing at something he said. Buying things that never showed up at our house. Photos 12 through 15. More dates. More lies. More proof that my marriage was a part-time gig for him. Photo 16. Yesterday's date stamped in the corner. Office setting. His office. Her sitting on his lap. His desk. Business hours. Broad daylight. Like they owned the place. Like I didn't exist. I couldn't breathe. The bathroom stall felt smaller. Roses smelled sickening now. Sweet rotting. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. "I'm the one who sent the flowers. We need to talk. Cafe Medici, 6 p.m. tonight. I'll explain everything. This isn't random. You deserve to know the truth. Seth Barrett, my ex-boyfriend from college. The guy I dated for 3 years before Dean. The guy who proposed when we were 24 and I said no because I needed to focus on my career. The guy who left Austin, moved to Dallas, became some corporate controller, and I never saw again. Seth worked at the same consulting firm as Dean. Same building, same floor, same meetings. And apparently, same front row seat to my husband's double life. I stared at my reflection in the stall door's metal coat hook. Mascara starting to run. Lipstick chewed off. Looking exactly like someone whose world just collapsed. 6 p.m. Cafe Medici. My ex-boyfriend. My cheating husband's evidence. My entire marriage potentially imploding over espresso. The roses sitting on my lap suddenly felt less like a gift and more like a warning shot. Dean texted, "Late meeting tonight. Don't wait up. Love you. Love you." 2 words that used to mean everything. Now they just sounded like corporate jargon. Empty. Rehearsed. Meaningless. I texted back, "No problem. See you later." Lies. We were both so good at lies. I stood up, flushed the toilet for effect. Office politics, even during personal apocalypse. and walked back to my desk. Smiled at coworkers, thanked them for the flower excitement, sat down, opened my laptop, pretended to work while my brain screamed questions. How long has this been going on? Who is this woman? Does she know about me? Does Dean love her? Did he ever actually love me? And the question that burned worst, how did I not see this? 3 hours until 6 p.m. 3 hours until I met my ex-boyfriend and found out exactly how bad this disaster really was. 3 hours to sit in my office chair, surrounded by coworkers who think I'm lucky, staring at roses that smell like betrayal, waiting to learn the truth about a marriage I thought I understood. The roses sat on my desk. Everyone kept commenting. So romantic. You're so lucky. Dean's the best. Dean, my husband, my liar, my stranger. At 5:45 p.m., I grabbed my purse, told my boss I had a personal appointment. He barely looked up. I walked to my car, hands steady now. Shock does that. Makes you cold. Clinical. Efficient. Drove to Cafe Medici. Parked. Sat in my car for 10 minutes, staring at the entrance. Deep breath. Walked inside. Seth was already there. Corner table. Back to the wall. He looked older. Gray threading his temples. Sharp suit. Blue eyes still intense. Still attractive? Wrong thought. Bad timing. He stood when he saw me. Gentleman reflex. Alma. His voice. Deeper than I remembered. Rougher. Seth. We sat. Silence stretched between us like a chasm. I'm sorry, he started. I know this is... Just tell me. My voice sounded dead. Flat. Tell me everything. Seth looked at me like I was fragile china. Spoiler alert. I wasn't fragile. I was furious. I've been working with Dean for 2 years. He started. Fingers wrapped around his coffee cup. We're not friends. Colleagues. You know how corporate works. Surface-level pleasantries, fake laughs at bad jokes during team meetings. I nodded. Waited. My coffee sat untouched. Too nauseous for caffeine. About 6 months ago, I noticed him at a happy hour with this woman. Vanessa Clark, junior analyst, 32, recently divorced. Seth's jaw tightened. At first I thought maybe coworker thing, networking, whatever. But then I saw them again. And again. Always the same energy. Intimate. Secretive. You followed him. Not a question. I documented him. Seth met my eyes. Because you deserve to know the truth, Alma. You always deserved honesty. The subtext hung heavy between us. Unlike Dean. Unlike the man who asked me to marry him while apparently auditioning replacements. Seth pulled out his phone. Showed me more. So much more. Email screenshots. Work correspondence between Dean and Vanessa that started professional and devolved into flirty. Then explicit. Not graphic. Thank God, wrong audience for that. But clear. Can't wait to see you tonight. Last weekend was incredible. She suspects nothing. She, me, I was she in my own marriage. There's more, Seth said quietly. He showed me expense reports. Dean had been charging personal dinners as client meetings. Hotels as conference accommodations. The company was literally funding his affair. Our family budget, tight because Dean always claimed work didn't reimburse enough, was tight because he was spending money on her. Does she know he's married? My voice cracked. First sign of emotion breaking through the ice. Oh, she knows. Seth's tone went sharp, angry. She thinks it's hilarious. I overheard her at the office Christmas party last year. She was drunk, bragging to another analyst. Said something like, playing house with someone else's husband hits different. I felt my face flush. Hot, humiliated. This woman, this Vanessa, knew about me, knew I existed, and chose to participate anyway. Chose to laugh about it. Chose to be the punchline in my marriage. Why now? I asked. Why tell me now? Why the flowers, the drama, because I'm tired of watching him disrespect you. Seth leaned forward. Intense. Alma, I see you at company events sometimes. Regional meetings. You show up to support him. You smile. You network for his career. And he stopped. Breathed. He's throwing you away like you're nothing. You're not nothing. The way he said it. Past and present colliding. The boy who proposed. The man who disappeared. The stranger who just handed me evidence of my husband's betrayal. Where does she live? I asked. Seth hesitated. Alma. Where does she live? He told me. Gave me the address. Nice complex in Central Austin. The kind with a pool and gym. The kind Dean and I couldn't afford because we were saving for our future. Apparently, our future included his side piece living better than his wife. I stood up. Thank you, Seth, for the truth. For caring enough to… My voice broke. I hated it. Hated crying. Hated feeling weak. Alma. He stood too, reached out, stopped himself. What are you going to do? Something stupid, probably? I tried to smile, failed. Or something genius. Haven't decided yet. I left. Drove home in autopilot. Dean wasn't there, obviously. Late meeting. Right. Late meeting with Vanessa's thighs, more like. God, I was becoming crude in my own head. Heartbreak does that. I poured wine. Expensive bottle we were saving for our anniversary next month. Screw it. Drank straight from the bottle. Sat on our couch, the one we bought together at IKEA, arguing about colors and fabrics, and stared at our wedding photo on the wall. We looked happy. Young. Stupid. My phone buzzed. Dean. Heading home soon. Want me to grab takeout? The audacity. The sheer audacity of this man to ask about dinner after spending his day with another woman. I typed back, sure, surprise me, because I was about to surprise him too. Thursday morning. I called in sick. First time in 3 years. My boss sounded concerned. You never take sick days, Mabel, are you okay? He called me Mabel. Wrong name. Didn't even correct him. What did it matter? I drove to Vanessa's apartment. Watched. Like a suburban stalker. Pathetic? Absolutely. Necessary? Also absolutely. She left at 8:47 a.m. Professional outfit, hair perfect, makeup flawless. She looked happy, content, well-rested. Probably because she wasn't carrying the weight of a dying marriage. I waited. Dean's car pulled up at 9:15 a.m. He parked, looked around, guilty reflex, and walked into her building like he owned it. Confident, casual, familiar. He was supposed to be at the office. Early morning presentation, he'd said at breakfast. I'd made him eggs. He'd kissed my cheek, tasted like lies. I took photos, time-stamped, documented. Maybe I learned from Seth. Maybe I was just tired of being the idiot wife. My phone rang. Seth, where are you? Staking out my husband's girlfriend's apartment. You know, normal Thursday activities. Alma, don't do anything crazy. Define crazy. Silence. Then, want backup? I almost laughed. Almost. Why would you? Because you shouldn't be alone right now. And because… He paused. Because I never stopped caring about you, Alma, even when you said no, even when you chose him. I never stopped. My heart did something weird. Painful. Complicated. Cafe Medici, 20 minutes. I hung up. We met again. Same table, different energy. I have a plan, I said. Seth raised an eyebrow. Should I be worried? Probably. But you're going to help me anyway. He smiled. Small. Sad. Yeah, I am. I laid it out. Step by step. Seth listened. Added suggestions. Corporate insider knowledge. We weren't just planning confrontation. We were planning demolition. This could get messy, Seth warned. Good. I meant it. He made a mess of our marriage. Time to return the favor. Thursday evening, 7 p.m. Dean texted, another late one. Don't wait up. I texted Vanessa's landlord. Found him on the building website. Claimed to be her sister. Lost my key. Can you let me in? Emergency. Older guy. Bought it completely. Opened her door. I tipped him $20. Thanks so much. Waited inside her apartment. Lights off. Door unlocked. Dean arrived at 7:43 p.m. Used his key, to her apartment. Vanessa showed up at 7:51 p.m. Takeout bags, Thai food, the kind Dean always said he hated. Apparently, he only hated it with me. They walked in together, laughing, her hand on his arm. I turned on the lights. Hi, honey. Your meeting ended early. The looks on their faces, priceless. Worth every second of humiliation. Worth every lie. Worth every wasted year. Dean went pale. Actually pale. Like vampire seeing sunlight pale. Vanessa froze. Thai food hitting the floor. Pad Thai exploding across her pristine white carpet. Alma, Dean started. Shut up, Dean. I smiled. Cold, calm. Adults are talking. Oh, wait. I looked at Vanessa. Are you an adult? Hard to tell when you're playing dress-up in someone else's marriage. She found her voice. This isn't what it looks like. Really? I pulled out my phone. Started showing photos. Because it looks like my husband has been living a double life. It looks like you knew he was married. It looks like you both thought I was too stupid to notice. Dean tried to step forward. Alma, let me explain. Explain what? My voice rose. 8 years of silence breaking. Explain how you used our grocery money for her rent? Explain how you lied about business trips? Explain how you made me feel crazy for asking why you were always tired, always distant, always gone. It just happened. Dean, master of cliches. Nothing just happens, Dean. You made choices. Every single day. You chose to lie, chose to cheat, chose to make me the idiot wife while you played house with her. Vanessa crossed her arms. Defensive now. You clearly weren't making him happy. I laughed. Actually laughed. Oh, sweetheart, you think you're special? You think you won something? I stepped closer. She stepped back. You got the leftovers, the scraps. The man who's too cowardly to end his marriage but too selfish to stay faithful. Congratulations, you're dating garbage. I pulled off my wedding ring. 8 years. Platinum band. Small diamond. All we could afford back then. Placed it on her coffee table. He's all yours, Vanessa. Good luck managing a man who lies for sport. You're going to need it. Dean tried to grab my arm. Alma, wait. I pulled away. Don't touch me. Don't call me. Don't come home. We're done. Walked out, head high, heart shattered, but dignity intact. Seth was waiting in the parking lot, leaning against his car, arms crossed, protective. How'd it go? I called her garbage. I laughed, cried, both. I'm a mess. You're magnificent. He opened his car door. Come on. Let's get you somewhere safe. Seth drove me to a hotel. Not sketchy. Respectable. Marriott downtown. He checked me in under my maiden name. Alma Rutherford. Like witness protection for the emotionally demolished. You didn't have to do this, I said, standing in the room. King bed. Clean sheets. Neutral colors. Everything my life wasn't. Yes, I did. He set my overnight bag down. I'd grabbed it from the house while Dean was at Vanessa's. You need space to think. And you shouldn't be alone. You gonna stay here and hold my hand? Sarcasm. Defense mechanism. If you need me to. He wasn't joking. We stared at each other. 10 years of history. 3 years of love. 1 rejection. 2 years of working near each other without contact. And now this. I should hate you, I said quietly. You disappeared. You didn't fight for me when I said no. You said no, Alma. I respected that. Even though it destroyed me. His voice cracked. Rare vulnerability. I moved to Dallas to get away from memories of you. Threw myself into work. Dated other people. Nothing stuck. Because nobody was you. Seth, I'm not asking for anything. I'm not expecting anything. He moved toward the door. I just needed you to know the truth about Dean. What you do with that information is entirely up to you. I'll be at the Hilton across the street if you need me. For anything. Even just to talk. He left. I sat on the bed. Stared at my phone. 17 missed calls from Dean. 12 texts. Escalating from apologetic to angry to desperate. Alma, please let me explain. You're being irrational. It meant nothing. You're throwing away 8 years over a mistake. Classic cheater playbook. Minimize. Gaslight. Blame the victim. I didn't respond. Instead, I called someone else. Griffith and Associates. How may I direct your call? I need a divorce attorney. Best one you have. Money's not an object. 40 minutes later, I had a consultation scheduled for Friday morning. Catherine Griffith herself. Shark in heels. Reputation for destroying cheating spouses in court. Then, I called my bank. Joint accounts. Started documenting every transaction, every suspicious charge, every business dinner that cost $300, every hotel, every flight. Dean had been sloppy, arrogant. He genuinely thought I was too trusting to check. Wrong. I found deposits I didn't recognize. 500 here, 800 there. Payments from our savings account to Venmo? I traced them. All to Vanessa. He was paying her. My husband was using our money to pay his mistress. My hands shook. Not from sadness anymore. From rage. I called Seth. "It's midnight," he answered, voice rough with sleep. He was paying her. Dean was sending Vanessa money from our joint savings. Thousands, Seth, thousands. Silence. Then, "I'm coming over. You don't have to. I'm already dressed." 5 minutes later, he knocked. I opened the door. He had coffee, 2 cups. Knew how I took mine. Cream, no sugar. Remembered after 10 years. We sat on the hotel bed, laptops open, going through finances like forensic accountants. "Here," Seth pointed. "This charge. 4 nights at the Fairmont in Dallas. Same week you posted on Facebook about being sick with the flu." He said he had a conference. I remember that week. I had pneumonia, could barely breathe. He FaceTimed me once. Said the conference was boring. I laughed bitterly. He was with her, while I was home alone, sick, thinking my husband actually cared. Seth's jaw clenched. He's worse than I thought. We found more. Jewelry purchases, designer bags, lingerie from boutiques I'd never been to, all charged to our credit cards, all for her. "This is financial infidelity," Seth said. "In Texas, you can use this in divorce court. Dissipation of marital assets. Judge will make him pay you back, with interest." "How do you know that?" "My sister went through a divorce 2 years ago. Ugly one. I learned more about family law than I ever wanted to know." He looked at me. "You're going to destroy him, Alma. Legally, financially, professionally." "Professionally?" Seth smiled. "Dangerous. Dean's been violating company policy, fraternization with subordinate employee, using corporate resources for personal affairs, falsifying expense reports. I have documentation, emails, witnesses. I've been building a case. You've been planning this. Not a question. I've been protecting you. There's a difference." My phone buzzed. Dean again. "Alma, I'm outside the house. Your car's not here. Where are you? We need to talk. I love you. This is fixable." I showed Seth. He shook his head. Narcissist's prayer. That didn't happen. And if it did, it wasn't that bad. And if it was, that's not a big deal. And if it is, that's not my fault. And if it was, I didn't mean it. And if I did, you deserved it. Poetic. Accurate. I typed back to Dean. "Talk to my attorney, Catherine Griffith. You'll be hearing from her Monday." Sent. Blocked his number. "Savage," Seth said, impressed. "I'm just getting started." Friday morning. Attorney's office. Catherine Griffith was everything advertised. 60-something, silver hair, eyes like a predator. She listened to my story, reviewed my documentation, smiled. "This is the easiest case I've had all year. Your husband's an idiot. He left a paper trail visible from space. What can we get?" "Everything." She leaned forward. "Texas is a community property state, but judges have discretion when one spouse wastes marital assets. He paid her thousands of dollars using your joint funds. He committed fraud with expense reports. That's criminal, by the way. We can request full asset disclosure, freeze accounts, and file for fault-based divorce citing adultery. You'll get more than half. Possibly alimony depending on his income. How long? Fast-tracked? 4 months. Maybe less if he doesn't contest. He'll contest. Let him. We have photos. Financial records. Witnesses. He'll lose. Badly." I signed papers. Retainer paid. Seth offered to cover it. I refused. Used my personal savings Dean didn't know about. Always kept a secret account. Paranoia? Maybe. Lifesaver? Absolutely. Catherine smiled as I left. "One more thing. You might want to consider exposing the affair to his employer. Violating company policy has consequences. Already planned." Seth was waiting in the lobby. "How'd it go?" I'm about to become single and significantly wealthier. Good. You deserve both. We walked to a coffee shop, sat outside. October in Austin, perfect weather, horrible timing. I need to ask you something, I said. Why are you really doing this? The flowers, the evidence, the support. You could have just told me and walked away. Why stay? Seth looked at his coffee. Long pause. Because 10 years ago I asked you to marry me. You said no. You said you needed to focus on your career, that you weren't ready, that timing was wrong. I respected that. I left. I moved on, or tried to. Seth, but I never stopped loving you, Alma. I dated other women, even got engaged once. Called it off because she wasn't you. Nobody was ever you. He met my eyes. When I saw Dean with Vanessa, I was angry. But when I realized he was treating you like you were disposable, I couldn't stay silent. You deserved to know. You deserved better. You always deserved better. My heart did that thing again. Complicated. Painful. Hopeful? I'm not asking you to jump into anything. He continued. You're going through hell. You need time. Space. Healing. I get that. I'm just saying, I'm here. However you need me. Friend. Support system. Or eventually, more. If you want. When you're ready. If you're ever ready. I reached across the table. Took his hand. Thank you. For seeing me. For caring enough to blow up my life in the best way possible. That's what love does. He squeezed my hand. It sees you. Even when you can't see yourself. Monday morning, Seth went to HR. Filed formal complaint against Dean. Provided evidence, emails, photos, expense reports, everything. HR launched investigation. Fast. Dean was suspended pending review. Vanessa too. Dean called me. Forgot I'd blocked him. Used office phone. Receptionist transferred him before I could stop it. Alma, what did you do? Hi, Dean. Enjoying your suspension? You went to my company? You're trying to destroy my career? No, sweetheart. You destroyed your career when you decided to break company policy, commit expense fraud, and treat your marriage like a part-time hobby. I just documented it. You're insane. You're vindictive. I'm done. I hung up. Felt good. Really good. Tuesday. Dean showed up at my office. Security stopped him. I'd preemptively warned them. He stood in the lobby, yelling, making a scene. Coworkers watched, filmed. Alma, come down here. Face me. I went to the window, looked down, waved, smiled. He lost his mind. Started screaming about crazy wives and ruining his life. Security escorted him out. Video went viral internally. Someone posted it to Reddit. Man has meltdown at ex-wife's office after getting caught cheating. Front page. Thousands of comments. All supporting me. Dean became a meme. Perfect. Wednesday. Catherine called. Dean's attorney wants to negotiate. He's panicking. Knows he'll lose in court. They're offering settlement. What are the terms? Insulting. He keeps the house, which you both own, pays you $20,000 and you waive alimony. Counteroffer. I get the house, my car, 70% of liquid assets, repayment of all funds he gave Vanessa with interest, and he covers my legal fees. He also signs a non-disparagement agreement. If he talks badly about me publicly, he pays additional penalties. You're learning. Catherine sounded proud. I'll send it over. Thursday evening. Seth and I had dinner. Real dinner. Not crisis management. Not strategy sessions. Just us. When this is over, he said carefully, what do you want? Big picture. Life goals. Dreams. Honestly, I want to stop feeling like I wasted 8 years. I want to trust someone again. I want to believe that love isn't just elaborate theater designed to hurt me. It's not. He reached across the table again, held my hand. Real love is quiet. Steady. It doesn't lie. It doesn't hide. It shows up. Every day. Even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. Is that what you're offering? If you'll have me, not now, not rushed, but eventually. When you're ready. I'll wait. I've been waiting 10 years. I can wait longer. I smiled. Real smile. First one in days. What if I'm damaged goods? What if I can't trust anymore? Then we'll build trust. Slowly, carefully, together. He kissed my knuckles. gentle. You're not damaged, Alma. You're just healing. And healing takes time. Friday morning, Catherine called, victory in her voice. He accepted your counteroffer, all of it. House, assets, repayment, legal fees, non-disparagement clause. He signed an hour ago. I sat down, hard. Didn't realize I'd been standing. He just gave up? His attorney showed him the evidence, told him a judge would crucify him. Smart lawyer, saved his client from complete annihilation. You won, Alma. Decisively. When's it final? Paperwork process is Monday. You'll be officially divorced by end of next week. Fastest I've ever seen. I hung up, stared at my phone. 8 years. Over, finished, done. Seth texted, dinner tonight? Celebration? Me. You're assuming I want to celebrate. Seth. You should. You just destroyed a cheater and got everything you deserved. That's worth champagne. He was right. That evening, Seth picked me up. Not from the hotel. I'd moved back into my house Wednesday after Dean collected his things. He'd looked pathetic, defeated, loading boxes into a U-Haul while I watched from the doorway, sipping wine. This is still my house too, he'd tried. Not according to the settlement you signed. You have 2 hours. Then I'm changing the locks. He'd left in 90 minutes. Seth took me to Uchi, expensive sushi place downtown. The kind Dean always said was too pricey for a Tuesday. It's Friday, Seth said, reading my mind. And nothing's too expensive for you. We ordered everything. Toro, uni, wagyu, fancy sake. I felt reckless. Free. Alive. I heard something interesting today, Seth said, popping edamame. Dean and Vanessa both got fired. Official termination. Company released a statement about maintaining professional standards and ethical conduct. They're both unemployed? I tried not to smile. Failed spectacularly. Completely. And in this industry? Firing for ethical violations? That follows you. Good luck getting hired anywhere reputable. He raised his sake cup. To Karma working overtime. We clinked glasses. There's more, Seth continued. Vanessa's landlord evicted her. Apparently, Dean was paying half her rent. Now he can't. She can't afford it alone. She's moving back with her parents. In Lubbock. Lubbock, Texas? Middle of nowhere Lubbock? The very same. Her mom posted about it on Facebook. So happy to have my baby girl home, with 17 crying emojis. Seth showed me his phone. I don't have Facebook. My assistant does. She's been monitoring the situation. For research purposes. I laughed. Actually laughed. Deep, genuine, cleansing laughter. They lost everything. Jobs, apartment, dignity, each other, I'm assuming. Oh, they broke up. Wednesday, according to office gossip, Dean blamed her for seducing him and ruining his marriage. She blamed him for being a lying coward who couldn't commit. They had a screaming match in the parking garage. Security footage exists. It's glorious. I need to see that footage. Already requested. Should have it by Monday. We ate, talked, real conversation. He told me about Dallas, his job, his lonely apartment with minimalist furniture because nothing felt like home. I told him about Austin, my promotion last year, how Dean hadn't even congratulated me properly, just said, more work for you, I guess. He diminished you, Seth said quietly, made you smaller so he could feel bigger. That's what weak men do. And what do strong men do? They celebrate you, support you, build you up. He met my eyes. They see your success as their success, because real love isn't competition, it's partnership. Something shifted. Inside me. Around us. The air felt different. Charged. I'm not ready, I said. Honest. Raw. For anything serious, for us. Not yet. I know. He smiled. Gentle. Patient. Take your time. I'm not going anywhere. The following week, everything fell into place with terrifying efficiency. Monday. Divorce finalized. I was officially Alma Dawson no more. Back to Alma Rutherford. Felt like reclaiming myself. Tuesday. Dean's company paid me $17,000. Settlement for his fraudulent expense reports. They'd audited everything. Found more violations. Covered their liability by compensating me directly. Wednesday. I received a check from Dean. $53,000. repayment for all money he'd given Vanessa, plus interest Catherine negotiated. He'd had to liquidate his retirement account. Early withdrawal penalties destroyed him. Thursday, I redecorated the house, new paint, new furniture, erased every trace of Dean, burned our wedding photos in the backyard fire pit. Seth came over, brought marshmallows. We made s'mores over the ashes of my failed marriage. "This is therapeutic and delicious," I said, chocolate on my lip. Multitasking at its finest. Seth wiped the chocolate away with his thumb. Lingered, pulled back. Respectful. Friday, 1 month after the flowers arrived. I went back to work. Everyone knew. Office gossip travels faster than light. But instead of pity, I got respect, admiration, even a few high fives. "You're a legend," Sarah from accounting said. "Took down a cheater and got the house?" Icon behavior. My boss called me into his office. I tensed, prepared for awkwardness. "I'm promoting you," he said instead. "Senior Marketing Director. 20% raise. You've earned it. Your work's been exceptional, even during personal hell." "That's remarkable." I walked out of his office in shock. Everything was falling into place, almost suspiciously well. That evening, Seth called. "I have news. Big news. Good or bad? Depends on perspective. I got promoted. VP of Finance." "Seth, that's incredible. Congratulations." "There's a catch. Positions in Austin. Corporate's relocating me. I'll be working at the headquarters here, starting next month." Silence. "You're moving here." Not a question. "If that's okay with you." "I'm not doing this to pressure you or—" "It's okay." I meant it. "It's more than okay." "Yeah?" "Yeah." We met for coffee the next morning. Cafe Medici. Full circle. Same table where he'd told me the truth. "I found an apartment," Seth said. "Downtown, modern, 1 bedroom, very bachelor pad. Sounds lonely. It won't be. I have friends, work. If you'll let me be part of your life, in whatever capacity you're comfortable with." I looked at him. Really looked. This man who'd loved me silently for 10 years, who'd protected me when I didn't know I needed protecting, who'd handed me the truth wrapped in roses and set me free. "I want to try," I said. "Us. Not now, not immediately, but soon. I want to see if we can build something real, something honest." Seth's face transformed. Hope, joy, relief. "Slow. We'll go slow as you need. Coffee dates, dinners, normal getting to know you again stuff. I can do that. I'm excellent at patience." 10 years, remember? 2 months later, December, holiday party at my company. I brought Seth as my date. First public appearance together. Office gossip exploded. I didn't care. Dean showed up, uninvited. Crashed through the door like a tornado of desperation and cheap cologne. "Alma." Everyone stopped. Music cut. Awkward silence. Security moved toward him. I held up my hand. "It's fine. Let him speak." Dean stumbled forward. Drunk. Pathetic. "You ruined my life. Everything's gone. Job, house. Her. All because you couldn't forgive one mistake." "One mistake?" I stayed calm. Ice cold. "You had a 6-month affair. Spent thousands of our dollars on another woman. Lied every single day. That's not one mistake, Dean. That's a lifestyle choice. I loved you." His voice cracked. Manipulative tears. Classic. "No, you didn't. You loved the idea of having 2 women. You loved the ego boost. You loved getting away with it. You never loved me." Seth stepped forward. Protective. "Time to go, Dean." Dean looked at Seth. Recognition. Rage. You did this. You stole my wife." "I didn't steal anyone. You threw her away. I just reminded her what she's worth." Seth's voice was steel. "Which is infinitely more than you ever deserved." Security escorted Dean out. He went quietly this time. Broken, defeated, empty. The party resumed. People congratulated me, praised my composure, called Dean pathetic. I accepted it all with grace. Seth pulled me aside. Outside. Balcony overlooking downtown Austin. Christmas lights everywhere. Beautiful. Magical. "You okay?" he asked. "I'm perfect." I meant it. He's nothing to me now. Just a cautionary tale about trusting the wrong person. And me? Vulnerable. Hopeful. What am I to you? I took his hand, laced our fingers together. You're the person who saw me when I was invisible, who told me the truth when everyone else let me live a lie, who waited 10 years because you believed I was worth waiting for. You are worth it. You're worth everything. I'm ready, I said. For us. For real. No more waiting. Seth smiled. Brilliant. Genuine. You sure? Completely. He kissed me. Soft. Sweet. Perfect. First kiss in 10 years. First kiss as free woman. First kiss of something real. Fireworks didn't explode. Orchestra didn't swell. But something better happened. I felt safe. Seen. Loved. Actually loved. We pulled apart. Foreheads touching. Breathing same air. I have a confession, Seth whispered. I never stopped planning our future. Even when you married him. Even when it seemed impossible. I kept hoping. What did you plan? This. You. Us. Together. Finally. Ambitious. Patient. He corrected. There's a difference. We went back inside. Danced. Laughed. Celebrated. My co-workers cheered. Someone started chanting, kiss, kiss, kiss. We obliged. Crowd went wild. Best office party ever. January. New year. New life. Seth moved into his Austin apartment. We spent weekends together. Cooking. Watching movies. Talking. Really talking. Learning each other again. Or maybe for the first time. Properly. Dean got a job. Finally. Small firm. Entry level. Massive pay cut. He'd been blacklisted from major companies. His own fault. Consequences. Glorious consequences. Vanessa stayed in Lubbock. Last I heard, she was working retail. Karma's hilarious sometimes. February. Valentine's Day. Seth cooked dinner at my place. Steak. Asparagus. Chocolate lava cake. Romantic. Thoughtful. Perfectly him. After dessert, he pulled out a small box. My heart stopped. Relax. He laughed. Not a ring. Not yet. Just a promise. Inside, a key to his apartment. Move in with me, he said, or I'll move in here. I don't care where. I just want to wake up next to you. Build a life together. Properly. No secrets, no lies, just us. That's a big step. I've been waiting 10 years for this step. I'm ready. Question is, are you? I looked at the key. Symbol of trust, commitment, future. Yes. Simple, clear, certain. Yes, I'm ready. March. I moved into Seth's apartment. We combined lives, books, furniture, quirks, arguments about thermostat temperature and proper way to load dishwasher. Normal couple things, beautiful, mundane, perfect things. Dean texted once. Blocked number but got through somehow. I hope you're happy. I didn't respond. But I thought, I am. Finally. Completely. Utterly happy. Deleted his number. Blocked every possible contact method. Closed that chapter. Sealed it. Buried it. 1 year after the flowers arrived. I'm sitting in our apartment, Seth's and mine, drinking coffee on the balcony. Morning sun. Austin skyline. Traffic sounds below. Normal. Beautiful. Mine. Seth's inside making breakfast. French toast. He burns it every single time. I pretend not to notice. He pretends he's a chef. We have our routines now. Our rhythms. Our inside jokes that nobody else would understand. Last week we ran into Dean. Whole Foods parking lot. Unavoidable Austin moment. He looked smaller somehow. Older. Worn down by consequences he created. Alma. He nodded. Uncomfortable. Seth. Dean. I kept my voice neutral. Not warm, not cold. Just done. Awkward silence. He shifted his grocery bag. Generic brands. Budget shopping. How the mighty fall. You look happy, he said finally. Bitter edge. I am happy. Truth. Simple. Devastating. That should have been us. Pathetic. Playing victim. No, Dean. It couldn't have been us. Because us required honesty. And you're allergic to that. I took Seth's hand. We're late for brunch. Take care of yourself. Walked away. Didn't look back. Seth squeezed my hand. You okay? He asked in the car. Completely. He's just a stranger who hurt me once. He doesn't get to hurt me twice. That's the thing about healing. It's not linear, not pretty, not Instagram-worthy. It's messy and complicated, and sometimes you cry in grocery store parking lots for no reason. But eventually, gradually, without realizing exactly when, the person who destroyed you becomes irrelevant. Background noise. Footnote in your story. I learned things this year. Uncomfortable truths about myself. 1. I ignored red flags because I wanted the fairy tale. Dean was distant, secretive, emotionally unavailable. I convinced myself it was work stress or normal marriage stuff. It wasn't. It was him showing me exactly who he was while I insisted on believing who I wanted him to be. 2. I made myself smaller to accommodate his ego, downplayed my promotions, apologized for success, dimmed my light so he wouldn't feel threatened. That's not love. That's self-erasure. 3. I stayed too long. Ignored intuition. Dismissed gut feelings. Convinced myself I was paranoid when I was actually perceptive. Note to self. Trust your instincts. They're usually right. But here's what else I learned. Love isn't supposed to hurt. Real love, the kind Seth gives me, is easy. Not effortless, but natural. It doesn't require constant negotiation or emotional gymnastics. It just is. Real love sees you, acknowledges you, celebrates you. It doesn't compete, doesn't diminish, doesn't hide. Real love shows up every day, especially boring days, especially hard days. Seth proposed 3 months ago, spring evening. Nothing elaborate. We were walking our dog. Yes, we got a dog, golden retriever named Biscuit, because we're predictable like that. And he just stopped. Middle of the trail. Marry me. Not a question. Statement. Confident. We've only been officially together for a year, I said. I've loved you for 11 years. I think I've waited long enough. He pulled out a ring. Platinum band. Single diamond. Simple. Elegant. Perfect. I'm not asking because I'm afraid of losing you. I'm asking because I want to choose you every day for the rest of my life. Publicly, officially, permanently. I ugly cried. Full sobbing, snotty mess. Biscuit got excited and jumped on us. Total disaster. Yes, obviously yes. We're getting married next month. Small ceremony. Close friends. Family. Nothing extravagant, just meaningful. That's all we need. My mom asked if I was nervous about trying again. Fair question. Loaded question. I'm not trying again, I told her. I'm trying something completely different. Dean was practice for recognizing what I don't want. Seth is proof I know what I deserve. She cried. Happy tears. I never liked Dean anyway. Why didn't you say something? Would you have listened? No. Exactly. Moms. Always right. Annoyingly so. Work's going well. Senior marketing director turned into VP of marketing last month. Corner office, actual window, company car. The success Dean always said would intimidate men is exactly what Seth celebrates. He sends flowers to my office every Friday. Different varieties, never roses. Too much history there. Last Friday, sunflowers. Card said, proud of you, always. My assistant swooned. Your fiancé's the best. She's right. He is. Vanessa? Heard through mutual connections she's engaged. Apparently found some guy in Lubbock. Good for her, I guess. Hope she learned something. Doubt it. But hope is free. Dean's still single. Working his entry-level job. Living in a studio apartment. Dating sporadically. One mutual friend said he's still talking about the wife who ruined him. I didn't ruin him. He ruined himself. I just stopped participating in his delusions. There's a difference. Sometimes people ask how I forgave him. Plot twist. I didn't. Forgiveness implies reconciliation. Implies healing the relationship. I have zero interest in either. What I did was release him. Stopped letting his betrayal define my worth. Stopped replaying his lies. Stopped giving him mental real estate. He doesn't deserve my anger. Anger means he still matters. He doesn't. He's just the guy who taught me what I won't tolerate. Expensive lesson. Worth it. Seth and I talk about the future now. Real plans, not vague someday fantasies. Concrete timelines. Kids? Maybe. 2 years. We're thinking about it. No rush. We want time to just be us first. House? Searching. Looking at suburbs. Good schools. Backyard for biscuit. White picket fence feels cliché, but honestly, I want the cliché. I earned boring suburban happiness. Careers? We're both thriving, supportive, competitive in healthy ways. Who can close bigger deal becomes foreplay. We're weird. It works. Last night, Seth asked, "Do you ever regret saying no the first time I proposed?" I thought about it. Really thought. No, because we weren't ready then. I wasn't ready. I needed to become who I am now. Experience what I experienced. Learn what I learned. If we'd gotten married at 24, we'd have been different people building a different life. Think we'd have made it? Honestly? Probably not. We were kids. I was ambitious and ruthless about my career. You were building your foundation. We'd have resented each other eventually. And now? Now we're adults who chose each other after seeing the worst life offers. That's stronger than young love. That's informed love. He kissed my forehead. You're annoyingly wise. I had a great teacher. His name was Consequences. Real strict. Taught me everything. We laughed. That's the other thing about real love. It's fun, easy, light. Even heavy conversations feel manageable because you're not carrying them alone. I think about the flowers sometimes. That Tuesday afternoon. Anonymous roses. Cryptic card. The moment everything changed. Best worst day of my life. Because it broke everything. Shattered my comfortable denial. Forced me to see truth I'd been avoiding. But it also freed me. Freed me from a man who saw me as placeholder. Freed me from a marriage built on lies. Freed me from settling for crumbs when I deserved the whole bakery. Those flowers weren't romantic. They were a demolition notice. And sometimes demolition is necessary. You can't build something strong on a cracked foundation. You have to tear it down. Start over. Build correctly. That's what I did. What we did. Seth and I. We demolished the lies. Cleared the rubble. Built something real. Something lasting. Something neither of us has to hide or apologize for. Next month, I'll walk down an aisle. Real one this time. Toward a man who sees me. Always has. Always will. Dean will not be invited. Obviously. He'll probably hear about it somehow. Small world. Smaller city. I hope he does hear. Hope he realizes what he lost. What he threw away. What he'll never have again. Not because I want him to hurt. I'm past that. But because some people only learn through loss. And Dean? He lost everything. Job, wife, dignity, future. I gained everything. Career, love, peace, self-respect. Math checks out. People say I'm bitter, cold, unforgiving. Maybe. But I'm also happy. Thriving. Loved. Free. I'll take cold and happy over warm and miserable any day. Final thoughts? Lessons learned? Wisdom acquired through emotional warfare? Here's what I know now. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. First time. Don't wait for the 16th photo. Don't wait for anonymous flowers. Don't wait until you're sitting in a bathroom stall crying over evidence of betrayal. Your intuition is smarter than your hope. Listen to it. Love shouldn't require detective work. If you're checking phones, tracking locations, verifying stories, you're not in a relationship. You're in an investigation. End it. You teach people how to treat you. I taught Dean he could lie. I taught him I'd accept excuses. I taught him my time and loyalty were negotiable. Never again. And finally, the right person won't make you feel crazy for expecting honesty. Won't make you feel needy for wanting attention. Won't make you feel demanding for requiring respect. The right person makes you feel seen, valued, chosen, every single day. Seth does that. Has done that. Will continue doing that. So here I am, 1 year later, engaged, thriving, happy, living my best life with a man who sent me flowers not to romance me, but to save me. Best delivery I ever received. Turns out, when someone says he doesn't deserve you, but I see you, they're not just critiquing your spouse. They're offering you a mirror, showing you your worth, reminding you that you deserve better. I looked in that mirror, didn't love what I saw, woman accepting less than she deserved. But I changed it, became the person I needed to be, found the love I'd always wanted. The flowers are long dead, dried, thrown away weeks ago, but the truth they delivered, that's permanent. And I'm grateful for the flowers, the truth, the pain, the growth, all of it. Because sometimes love arrives disguised as destruction, and sometimes the best thing that can happen is having your world fall apart so you can rebuild it correctly. Mine fell apart spectacularly, and I rebuilt it beautifully. That's my story. Drama, betrayal, heartbreak, revenge, justice, and eventually, finally, actual love. If you're reading this from a bathroom stall, staring at evidence of betrayal, crying over lies, I see you. You deserve better, and better is coming. Trust me. I'm living proof. Turns out, reading your own obituary over your morning coffee is quite the appetite suppressant. There I was, sitting in my sister Iris's kitchen in Vermont, scrolling through the Bedford Falls Gazette on my iPad like any normal Tuesday when I nearly choked on my avocado toast. According to page 6, Marlo Calloway, that's me, had died tragically and unexpectedly over the weekend. I blinked 3 times, wondering if Vermont's organic coffee had hallucinogenic properties I wasn't aware of. The obituary was surprisingly eloquent for someone who couldn't even bother to text me that I was dead. My darling husband Fletcher had apparently been devastated by the sudden loss, but was finding strength in community support. The photo they used was from our trip to Napa 5 years and 15 pounds ago. At least my fictional death had good optics. "Iris!" I screamed, nearly toppling my sister's farmhouse chic bar stool. "Fletcher killed me off!" My sister came running in from her yoga room, still in downward dog position. "What the hell are you talking about?" I thrust the iPad into her hands. "Apparently I died. Very tragic. People are bringing casseroles as we speak." Iris's eyes widened as she scanned the article. "Holy shit, Marlo! This is detailed." It was indeed comprehensive. Marlo Calloway, 38, beloved editor-in-chief of Hudson Valley Style magazine, devoted wife to Fletcher Calloway, passionate advocate for local businesses, and failed plant mom. Okay, they didn't include that last part, but everything else was spot on. The celebration of life was scheduled for Saturday at the Riverside Community Center. How thoughtful of my husband to plan my funeral while I was still using my lungs. "Should we call the paper or the police?" Iris asked, already reaching for her phone. "Wait," I said, suddenly remembering something that made my blood run colder than my now-forgotten oat milk latte. Our life insurance policy. The one Fletcher insisted we upgrade last month. It just went into effect yesterday. The one for $1.5 million, I finished, feeling like I was in some twisted Lifetime movie where the husband was both the villain and incredibly bad at villainy. And his little intern Aubrey started bringing him lunch every day last month. Homemade lunch. Who makes homemade lunch for their boss? Serial killers and homewreckers, that's who. I grabbed my phone to check our home security app. The one Fletcher always complained was an unnecessary invasion of privacy. There they were, in our kitchen, drinking champagne. My champagne? The Moet I'd been saving for my promotion announcement? Are they celebrating? Iris gasped, peering over my shoulder. They absolutely were. Fletcher was popping the cork while Aubrey, with her perfect Gen Z skin and middle part, arranged cheese on my West Elm serving board. In my house, with my allegedly grieving husband, while I was supposedly decomposing somewhere. "Turn up the volume," Iris whispered, unnecessarily. We were both already leaning toward the phone like it was about to reveal the meaning of life. "Just need to wait for the insurance verification," Fletcher was saying, his voice slightly slurred. "Warren Griffin from Regional Life called today. Standard procedure," he said. "How long will that take?" Aubrey asked, sliding her hand over my countertop in a way that suggested she was already mentally redecorating. A week, maybe less. Then we're golden, babe. New start, new life. New life? I had apparently traded mine in without even getting the coupon. That's when an idea hit me with the force of a suburban mom spotting a Target clearance sale. I wasn't going to call the police. Not yet. I wasn't going to storm home and confront them. No. I was going to stay dead. For now. Iris, I said slowly, a plan forming that would make even the messiest Housewives episode look tame. I need to borrow your laptop, and maybe your black dress. The funeral one? Exactly. I smiled, feeling a surge of something between rage and exhilaration. If Fletcher wants to mourn me so badly, I'll give him something to really cry about. I spent the next hour making 3 phone calls. One to my boss explaining I needed an emergency week of remote work, family emergency, not technically a lie. One to Warren Griffin at Regional Life Insurance, who was very confused to hear from a dead person. And one to Detective Noah Sinclair, who came highly recommended for catching cheating spouses. By Thursday, I had a plan that would make Fletcher's betrayal look like a kindergarten-level scheme. He wanted me dead? Fine. But the thing about the dead is, sometimes they come back. And when they do, they bring receipts, witnesses, and a vengeance that would make even the most dramatic daytime soap opera writers take notes. If Fletcher wanted to play dead, I'd show him what a real funeral looked like. His careers. Staying dead was surprisingly productive. No meetings, no small talk, no pretending to care about Karen from accounting's keto journey. Just me, my laptop, and the meticulous documentation of my husband's spectacular betrayal from my sister's guest bedroom turned command center. He's updated his LinkedIn, Iris announced Wednesday morning, hunched over her MacBook like we were CIA agents tracking a terrorist. Who updates LinkedIn when they're grieving? I leaned over to look. Fletcher Calloway had indeed updated his professional profile, with a somber black ribbon emoji and a heartfelt post about navigating profound personal loss while finding strength in professional purpose. It had 347 sympathetic reactions and 89 comments, including one from Aubrey that read, "Your resilience inspires us all. Here for you always." Here for you always? I snorted. She's been here for him since she started bringing homemade quinoa bowls to the office. Nothing says I want to replace your wife like meal prep. The most revolting part? People from our shared social circle were commenting with heart emojis and prayer hands, including Monica Lawson, my supposed best friend since college, who had texted me exactly 0 times to verify that I was, in fact, deceased. What kind of friend doesn't even call to make sure you're actually dead? I asked Iris, who was refilling my wine glass with her fancy Oregon Pinot Noir. It was barely noon, but conventional drinking hours don't apply when you're legally dead. The kind who's been sleeping with your husband, Iris said casually, like she was commenting on the weather. I choked on my wine. What? Oh, please. That whole business trip to Scottsdale last year? Monica was mysteriously at a conference the same weekend, and they came back with identical Southwestern silver jewelry. The memory hit me like a Peloton instructor's peppy demands for just one more push. Fletcher had returned with a silver bracelet he claimed was from a local artisan market, while Monica had shown off eerily similar earrings at our book club the following week. That jewelry-matching snake, I muttered, opening our home security app to check on the current state of affairs. Fletcher was in our bedroom, my bedroom, sorting through my clothes with Aubrey, who was holding up my favorite Eileen Fisher sweater against her annoyingly toned body. Is he giving away my clothes already? My voice went up 3 octaves. That cashmere was from the Nordstrom anniversary sale. Turn up the volume, Iris said, leaning in with the intensity of a suburban mom at a PTA meeting about controversial library books. Don't think black is really her color, Aubrey was saying, tossing my sweater aside like it was from Target clearance. But this might work for the memorial. Appropriately somber, but still, me. Take whatever you want, Fletcher replied, his voice dripping with the generosity of someone giving away things that weren't his. Marlo would have wanted her things to be appreciated. Oh, I absolutely would not, I hissed at the screen. She had good taste in some things, Aubrey continued, moving to my jewelry box with the precision of a surgeon approaching a heart transplant. My actual heart was pounding as she opened it, her perfectly manicured fingers hovering over my grandmother's pearl necklace. But her style was a bit mature for me, she added, closing the box with a dismissive snap that made me want to reach through the screen and snatch her middle part right off her head. You're 11 years younger and 2 dress sizes smaller. We get it, I muttered, taking another gulp of wine. The doorbell rang on screen. Fletcher looked momentarily panicked, like someone who had just remembered they were supposed to be in mourning, not hosting a closet raid. That's probably another casserole, he said, straightening his deliberately rumpled grieving husband Oxford shirt. Wait here. He left, and Aubrey immediately dove for my vanity, trying on my Tom Ford lipstick, the $58 one I bought myself as a birthday splurge. She took a selfie, then started rifling through my bedside drawer. Oh my God, check my nightstand, I told the screen, as if Aubrey could hear my warnings. I dare you. She pulled out my journal, the leather-bound one where I'd been documenting Fletcher's growing disinterest in our marriage for the past 6 months. Her eyes widened as she flipped through it, landing on what I presumed were my detailed entries about suspecting he was having an affair. She quickly stuffed it into her oversized tote bag just as Fletcher returned. Jackpot, I whispered to Iris. She took my journal. That's theft, Iris pointed out. That's evidence, I corrected her with a smile that would have made my therapist very concerned about my mental state. Fletcher came back upstairs with Warren Griffin, the insurance investigator who looked exactly like his voice on the phone suggested, like a basset hound in a JCPenney suit. Sorry to disturb you during this difficult time, Mr. Calloway, Warren said, his tone suggesting this was his 4th grieving spouse visit of the day. Just need to clarify a few details about your wife's passing. Aubrey awkwardly stood in the corner, trying to look like a supportive friend, rather than someone who had just been rifling through a dead woman's possessions. This is Aubrey, my colleague, Fletcher introduced her with an unconvincing professional nod. She's been helping me manage during this difficult time. Warren's expression didn't change, but somehow his eyebrows conveyed that he'd seen this scenario play out about 1,000 times in his 27 years at Regional Life Insurance. I see, he said, pulling out a form. Now, regarding the circumstances of Mrs. Calloway's death, Fletcher launched into the elaborate story he'd concocted. A hiking accident in Vermont, a tragic fall, local authorities handling everything. His performance deserved a Razzie for Worst Actor in a straight-to-Netflix drama. And the body? Warren asked, making a note. Cremated, Fletcher replied smoothly. It was what she would have wanted. How convenient, I said to my phone screen. Cremated before anyone could verify I had a pulse. And you have the death certificate? Fletcher's confident facade cracked slightly. It's being processed. The Vermont authorities said it might take a few days because of the unusual circumstances. Warren nodded, writing something down that made Fletcher shift uncomfortably. We'll need that certificate, of course, along with the police report from the Vermont authorities. Absolutely, Fletcher agreed, sweat now visible on his forehead. Just waiting for the paperwork. As they continued talking, I texted Noah Sinclair, the private detective I'd hired. Insurance investigator at the house now. Fletcher claiming VT authorities handling everything. Cremation. No death certificate yet. Noah's reply came instantly. Perfect. Vermont officials deny any reports of hiking accidents matching your description from the weekend. He's digging his own grave. I smiled, feeling the first genuine happiness since discovering my premature obituary. Speaking of graves, I texted back, are we all set for Saturday's memorial? All arranged, he replied. Griffin is on board too. Operation Resurrection is a go. Iris looked over my shoulder at the exchange. You know, most people would just file for divorce. I turned to my sister with the serene smile of someone who had transcended mere marital dissolution. Divorce is for the living, Iris. And according to the Bedford Falls Gazette, I'm very much dead. I raised my wine glass in a toast to the phone screen, where Fletcher was now awkwardly escorting Warren to the door. But I promise you this. My resurrection is going to be absolutely killer. By Thursday afternoon, my death had become Bedford Falls's hottest topic since the high school principal was caught selling homemade kombucha with a suspicious alcohol content at the farmer's market. My inbox overflowed with condolence emails from colleagues who apparently couldn't be bothered to call my emergency contacts. The Hudson Valley-style Instagram posted a black square with my initials, the lazy person's grief equivalent of sending thoughts and prayers. "Look at this," I told Iris, showing her my phone. Cynthia from the art department wrote, "Heaven gained an angel," with the crying emoji. She literally called me editorial Stalin last month because I rejected her cursive font choice. "The death industrial complex at work," Iris replied, handing me a fresh mug of coffee. "Nothing like a colleague's demise to boost social media engagement." I was about to respond when a text from Detective Noah Sinclair lit up my phone. "Check your email. Found something interesting." The email contained a video attachment and a brief message. "Security footage from the Landing Hotel last Friday night. Your husband checked in under Frank Carson, paid cash but used his actual credit card for room service." "Frank Carson?" Iris raised an eyebrow. "That's the most generic alias ever. It's like calling yourself John Smith, but somehow even more boring." "It's from the protagonist in his unpublished detective novel," I explained. "The one he's been working on for 7 years that's still just an outline in 3 paragraphs. The video showed Fletcher and Aubrey entering the boutique hotel that was conveniently located 3 blocks from our house. Aubrey was carrying an overnight bag. My overnight bag, the Longchamp tote I'd bought in Paris that Fletcher had claimed was stolen from the coat check at his company Christmas party. "He gave her my Longchamp," I gasped, more offended by this theft than the actual affair. "That's a $300 bag he said was stolen. I filed an insurance claim." "Focus, Marlowe," Iris said, rewinding the video. "Look at what she's carrying in her other hand." It was a manila folder thick with papers, labeled clearly even on the grainy security footage. Insurance. "They were planning this," I whispered, feeling a strange combination of vindication and nausea. "The hotel meetup was the night before I left for Vermont. And the insurance policy activated the day after you died," Iris added, connecting the dots faster than a Facebook algorithm tracking shopping habits. Noah's email included one more crucial detail. "Fletcher accessed your cloud storage last week and downloaded copies of your birth certificate, passport scan, and social security card." Identity theft on top of regular theft and fake death? He's going for the felony trifecta, I muttered, feeling my rage crystallize into something sharper, more focused. "What's the plan now?" Iris asked. I pulled out the notebook where I'd been outlining Operation Resurrection, with the same meticulous attention I usually reserved for the magazine's fall fashion issue. "Noah has secured video evidence of Fletcher and Aubrey's hotel rendezvous, plus documentation of the insurance timing," I explained. "Warren Griffin is ready to accidentally arrive early to the memorial service with his fraud investigation team, but we need more." I opened my laptop to show Iris what I'd discovered digging through our shared cloud drive, something Fletcher apparently hadn't considered when plotting my demise. "Fletcher's been embezzling from his company," I explained, displaying spreadsheets and suspicious bank transfers. "He's been skimming from the marketing budget for months. Small amounts, but they add up to nearly $50,000. "How did you figure this out?" Iris looked impressed. "Remember when he insisted I help him organize his files last Christmas? I found discrepancies between reported expenses and actual receipts. I thought he was just terrible at bookkeeping, but now it's clear he's been building a getaway fund." I clicked to another folder. "And here's the piece de resistance. He's been looking at properties in Costa Rica. Non-extradition country, beautiful beaches, perfect for a marketing executive with a stolen identity, and his much younger girlfriend." "Damn, Marlowe," Iris whispered. "You're like Jessica Fletcher meets the Count of Monte Cristo." Except I'm not waiting decades for my revenge," I replied, checking our home security app again. Fletcher was in our home office, frantically searching through file cabinets. Aubrey stood in the doorway looking nervous. "Can't find the original policy," he was saying, tossing papers aside. "Warren wants to see it tomorrow." "Can't you download another copy?" Aubrey suggested. "It has to be the original with signatures," Fletcher snapped. "Otherwise, they'll delay payment even longer." I smirked, opening my purse to reveal the insurance policy in question, safely tucked away in a folder. I'd removed it from our files before leaving for Vermont, not because I suspected anything, but because I'd planned to review the coverage details during my trip. "Looking for this, darling?" I asked the screen, waving the document like a trophy. My phone rang. Noah Sinclair calling with an update. "I've got news," he said without preamble. "Your husband just applied for an expedited passport under your name. Used the documents he downloaded from your cloud storage." "How is that even possible?" I asked, my stomach dropping. "Don't they need me in person?" He claimed it was a replacement for a damaged passport. Submitted everything online with your electronic signature, which he apparently had access to from your shared accounts. "That's next-level identity theft," Iris muttered, looking increasingly concerned. "It gets worse," Noah continued. "I had my contact at the bank check your joint accounts. Fletcher emptied them yesterday, all $87,000. The room seemed to tilt slightly. This wasn't just an insurance scam anymore. Fletcher was setting up his complete disappearance, with my identity and our money. "The memorial is in 2 days," Noah reminded me. "If we're going to catch him before he runs, that's our window." After hanging up, I turned to Iris, my shock hardening into determination. "We need to accelerate the plan. He's not just trying to cash in on my death, he's planning to vanish with everything." "What do we do?" Iris asked. I pulled up the seating chart I'd been designing for my memorial service, because of course I'd want the perfect arrangement for my grand return from the dead. "First, I need you to contact Fletcher's parents," I said. "Tell them you've been trying to reach Fletcher about funeral arrangements, but he's not answering. Say you're worried about his mental state." "Howard and Vivian Calloway," Iris nodded. "The ones who gave him that ridiculous world's greatest son coffee mug he keeps on his desk?" "The very same," I confirmed. "They adore their precious boy and have no idea he's a sociopathic fraud. Let's make sure they have front row seats to his downfall." Next, I called Warren Griffin, who was surprisingly enthusiastic about catching Fletcher in the act. Apparently, insurance investigators lived for moments like these. "Your husband has set off every red flag in our fraud detection system," Warren explained. "No death certificate, conflicting stories about where the death occurred, and an insurance policy that activated suspiciously close to the claim death date. It's like insurance fraud bingo." "And you're sure you can get a warrant by Saturday?" I asked. "Already in process. We've coordinated with local police. They'll arrive about 15 minutes into the service, right after your husband gives his eulogy." The final piece fell into place when Noah texted that he'd confirmed 2 crucial details. Fletcher had booked one-way tickets to San Jose, Costa Rica for Sunday morning under the names Frank and Aubrey Carson, and Aubrey had given notice at work effective immediately due to personal reasons. I sat back in Iris's armchair, looking at the elaborate plan we'd constructed. Part of me felt a twinge of sadness at how thoroughly my marriage had disintegrated without me noticing. Another, larger part felt an almost electric anticipation for what would happen at Riverside Community Center on Saturday afternoon. "You know," Iris said, studying my expression, "most people who discover their spouse is cheating just key their car or cut holes in their clothes." I smoothed the seating chart, placing Warren Griffin and the police detective strategically near the exit doors to block any potential escape attempts. "Most people aren't pronounced dead by their husband while they're still very much alive," I replied, with a smile that would have made a shark reconsider its life choices. "Besides, I'm not just getting revenge. I'm getting a story that will bump our magazine's readership by at least 30%. I picked up my phone to make one final call to Monica Lawson, my supposedly best friend who hadn't bothered to verify my death. "Monica?" "It's Marlo," I said when she answered, savoring her stunned silence. "Yes, that Marlo. Not quite as dead as advertised. Listen, I need you at my memorial service on Saturday. Front row, if you don't mind. Wear something nice. There's going to be a photographer." As I hung up, Iris looked at me with newfound respect. "Remind me never to cross you." "Don't worry," I assured her, closing my laptop with a satisfying click. I save my best revenge for those who truly deserve it, and Fletcher's performance at my memorial deserves nothing less than a standing ovation and handcuffs. Saturday arrived with the kind of perfect early autumn weather usually reserved for wedding photo shoots and cider donut commercials. The irony wasn't lost on me. My fake funeral had better weather than my actual wedding day, which had featured a surprise thunderstorm that turned my cathedral veil into a wet dish rag. "Are you sure about the dress?" Iris asked as I surveyed myself in her full-length mirror. I'd opted for a fitted black sheath with a dramatic red blazer. Funeral appropriate with a splash of surprise. I'm not dead. "Absolutely," I replied, applying another coat of what the Sephora salesgirl had named Revenge Red Lipstick. Black for the occasion, red for the resurrection. Plus, Fletcher always hated this blazer, said it was too aggressive for the suburbs. Noah picked us up at precisely 1:30 p.m., giving us time to arrive at the memorial service right at the climactic moment. His car, an understated black sedan that screamed, "I follow cheating spouses for a living," was parked a block away to avoid tipping off any early guests who might recognize Iris's vehicle. "Warren's team is in place," Noah informed us as we drove toward the Riverside Community Center. He's stationed at the back entrance with 2 officers and a representative from Fletcher's company. They've been briefed on the embezzlement evidence. I checked my watch, a vintage Cartier that had been my grandmother's. "What's the timing?" "Memorial starts at 2 p.m. Fletcher is scheduled to begin his eulogy at 2:20. Warren's team will enter at 2:25, and you'll make your entrance at 2:30. The side door will be unlocked. I've arranged for the photographer from the Gazette to be there under the pretense of covering a beloved local editor's memorial." "Perfect," I nodded, feeling surprisingly calm for someone about to crash their own funeral. "And Fletcher's parents?" "Front row, looking appropriately devastated," Noah confirmed. "I did a drive-by earlier. Howard's wearing a suit that's at least 2 sizes too big, and Vivian has enough tissues to stock a Kleenex factory." We parked in the community center's rear lot and slipped into Noah's stakeout position, a janitorial closet with a convenient view of the main hall through a ventilation grate. It wasn't glamorous, but it offered an excellent vantage point of Fletcher standing at the podium, looking the perfect picture of grief in his charcoal suit. The attendance was impressive. At least 60 people filled the chairs. I spotted my entire editorial team, several of Fletcher's colleagues, and most of our neighbors. Monica sat rigidly in the front row beside Fletcher's parents, her face locked in the artificial grief expression she usually reserved for Instagram sympathy posts. "Who's the blonde in the 3rd row?" I whispered to Iris. "The one dabbing her eyes but clearly checking her phone every 30 seconds? "Fletcher's ex from college," Iris whispered back. "Emily something. She commented sending strength with a heart emoji on his Facebook post about your death. She sent a flower arrangement to our wedding with a card that said, 'You'll always be my first love,'" I recalled. Charming that she made time in her schedule for my demise. Fletcher adjusted the microphone, his performance as the grieving widower Oscar-worthy. His voice cracked at precisely the right moments as he spoke about our beautiful years together, and how Marlo would want us to celebrate her life, not mourn her death. "That's rich coming from the man who cleaned out our bank accounts," I muttered. Then came the coup de théâtre. Fletcher dabbed at his eyes with a handkerchief, my handkerchief monogrammed by my mother, and revealed his special guest. "I'd like to thank Aubrey Bennett for her extraordinary support during this impossible time," he said, gesturing to Aubrey, who rose from her seat in the 2nd row. "Marlo would be so grateful for your kindness." Aubrey had the audacity to wear a black dress that looked suspiciously like one from my closet. The Diane von Furstenberg wrap dress I'd splurged on for last year's charity gala. "Is that my DVF?" I hissed. "Focus, Marlo," Noah warned. "Warren's team is moving in." Right on cue, the back doors opened. Warren Griffin entered, flanked by 2 police officers and a stern-looking woman in a crisp pantsuit I recognized as Helen Tate, the CFO of Fletcher's company. Fletcher faltered mid-sentence about my generous spirit, his eyes widening as Warren approached the front of the room. "Mr. Calloway," Warren announced, his voice carrying through the stunned audience. "I need to speak with you regarding some concerning discrepancies in your insurance claim." Fletcher's face performed an impressive journey from fake grief to genuine panic in under 3 seconds. This is hardly the time or place," he stammered, looking frantically for an escape route. I'm afraid it's precisely the time, Warren replied, nodding to the officers, especially considering the fraud, identity theft, and embezzlement allegations we're investigating. A collective gasp rippled through the memorial attendees. Howard Calloway stood up, his oversized suit making him look like a child playing dress-up. What's the meaning of this? My son is grieving. Is he, though? I asked, making my entrance through the side door with timing that would make Broadway directors weep with envy. The room exploded in shocked exclamations. Monica actually screamed. Fletcher's mother, Vivian, fainted sideways into Howard's arms, crumpling his already ill-fitting suit further. Fletcher's face drained of all color as he gripped the podium for support. Marlo? But you're dead? I supplied helpfully, walking slowly toward the front of the room. Cremated in Vermont after a tragic hiking accident? That's strange, because I've been in Vermont, but hiking wasn't on the itinerary. Neither was dying. The Gazette photographer was snapping pictures frantically, capturing Fletcher's expression of pure horror as I approached. You should see your face right now, I told him, stopping directly in front of the podium. It's the look of someone who just realized he committed fraud, identity theft, and embezzlement for absolutely nothing. Aubrey made a dash for the exit, only to be intercepted by one of the police officers. Not so fast, he said. We have some questions about your involvement in the insurance fraud scheme. I didn't know anything about that, she protested, clutching my DVF dress with white-knuckled hands. And I certainly didn't know about the embezzlement. Fletcher's head snapped toward her. Aubrey, don't say another word. Oh, please let her talk, I encouraged, turning to the audience who sat frozen in collective shock. She might mention the Costa Rica tickets for tomorrow morning. Under the names Frank and Audrey Carson, very creative, Fletcher. The CFO from Fletcher's company stepped forward, her expression glacial. Mr. Calloway, we've found evidence that you've diverted approximately $50,000 from the marketing budget into your personal accounts over the past 8 months. That's a lie, Fletcher sputtered, but his protestations had all the conviction of a toddler denying he ate cookies while covered in chocolate. I removed the insurance policy from my purse. Looking for this? I asked, waving it at Fletcher. The original policy you've been tearing the house apart to find? The one you needed to complete your claim for my very premature death benefit? Warren took the document, nodding appreciatively. This completes our fraud investigation file nicely. Vivian Calloway had regained consciousness and was staring at me like I'd risen from the grave, which, from her perspective, was essentially true. But the obituary, Fletcher said. Fletcher said a lot of things, I replied gently. Like how he had business trips to Scottsdale when he was actually taking Monica Lawson there for romantic getaways. All eyes turned to Monica, who looked like she wanted to melt into her sensible beige pumps. It was just once, she squeaked, which was both a confession and obviously a lie. And Emily, I continued, addressing Fletcher's college ex who was now frantically gathering her purse. Those late-night work calls from Fletcher weren't about marketing strategies, were they? Emily froze halfway to standing, then slowly sank back into her chair. Fletcher, Howard Calloway's voice trembled with disbelief. What have you done? He faked my death to collect insurance money, emptied our joint accounts of $87,000, planned to flee to Costa Rica with my identity and his intern, and has been systematically cheating with at least 3 women that I know of, I summarized helpfully. Also, he gave away my designer clothes without permission, which feels like a lesser crime but still hurts. The officers moved toward Fletcher, who was now ashen-faced and sweating profusely. Fletcher Calloway, the lead officer began. You're under arrest for insurance fraud, identity theft, grand larceny, and embezzlement. As they handcuffed him, Fletcher finally found his voice. Marlo, you don't understand. We were having problems. I was going to send money back to you once I was settled. Save it for your lawyer, I suggested, watching as they escorted him and a sobbing Aubrey toward the exit. Though I'd recommend one who specializes in multiple felonies, rather than the guy who handled our wills. The memorial hall erupted into chaos as people processed what they'd witnessed. Warren approached with a satisfied smile. Mrs. Calloway, that was the most efficient fraud bust I've overseen in 27 years at Regional Life. Happy to help, I replied. Though I'd appreciate if you'd drop the Mrs., I don't think I'll be keeping the name. Iris appeared at my side, handing me a glass of what was supposed to be memorial reception punch, but that she'd clearly spiked with the emergency flask she kept in her purse. "Best funeral ever," she declared, clinking her glass against mine. "Though technically it wasn't yours after all." "Oh, but it was," I corrected her, watching as Fletcher was placed in the back of a police car. "It was the funeral of my marriage, Fletcher's career, and his freedom all at once." Howard and Vivian approached cautiously, like they were afraid I might actually be a ghost. "Marlo," Howard began, his voice cracking. "We had no idea." "Of course you didn't," I assured them, genuinely sympathetic to their shock. Fletcher was very convincing. He convinced me too, for 12 years. Vivian clutched my hands, tears streaming down her face. "What can we do?" "You can stop blaming yourselves," I told them, "and maybe reconsider that world's greatest son mug." As the chaos settled and the stunned attendees began to disperse, Noah approached with news. "The bank has frozen the accounts Fletcher emptied. They should be able to recover most of the money." "That's good," I nodded, suddenly feeling the weight of everything. "Though somehow I don't think we'll be splitting assets equally in the divorce." "I'd say you have the upper hand in negotiations," Noah observed dryly. The Gazette reporter approached, notebook in hand. "Mrs. Calloway, would you be willing to give a statement about what just happened?" I looked around the memorial hall, at the flowers purchased for my non-existent funeral, at the enlarged photo of me that Fletcher had selected, from our honeymoon when I still believed in happily ever after, at the shocked faces of friends and colleagues processing the spectacular implosion they'd just witnessed. "Actually," I said, a smile spreading across my face, "I think I'll write this story myself." 3 months after my spectacular resurrection, life had settled into a new normal that was anything but normal. My byline, Marlo Bennett, reclaiming my maiden name faster than Fletcher could say plea bargain, now accompanied the most read column in Hudson Valley Styles history. Dead Wife Walking, When Your Spouse Decides to Kill You Off. The first installment had crashed our website within hours of publication. Turns out, nothing boosts readership like a first-person account of attending your own funeral and watching your husband being hauled away in handcuffs. I sat in my new apartment overlooking the Hudson River, sipping coffee from a mug Iris had custom-made that read, "Technically Immortal." My phone buzzed with a text from Noah Sinclair, who had transitioned from private investigator to something more personal in the aftermath of Fletcher Gate. Court update? Fletcher got denied bail. Again. I smiled into my coffee. Fletcher's legal situation had gone from bad to catastrophic when the financial investigation revealed he'd been embezzling from 3 previous employers too. The prosecutor had used the phrase, "pattern of sophisticated fraud," so many times during the preliminary hearing that it could have been a drinking game. My doorbell rang. Iris arriving for our weekly Sunday brunch tradition, carrying a bakery box from that ridiculously overpriced patisserie she loved. "You're going to die when you see what I found," she announced, dropping her purse on my counter. She paused, wincing at her choice of words. "Sorry, poor phrasing." "It's fine," I laughed. "Death jokes are fair game when you've been legally deceased." She pulled out her phone, showing me Fletcher's latest prison video call with Aubrey. I'd never explicitly asked how Iris gained access to these recordings, and she'd never volunteered the information. "Some sisters share clothes. We shared surveillance footage. Watch his face when she tells him," Iris instructed, hitting play. On screen, Fletcher looked considerably less polished than the man who'd once lectured me about the importance of maintaining appearances when I suggested wearing jeans to a neighborhood barbecue. His prison-issued attire clashed spectacularly with his country club sensibilities. "Lawyer says I might be able to get immunity if I testify," Aubrey was saying, her perfect Gen Z skin now stress broken out around her chin. "About everything, Fletcher. The embezzlement, the insurance fraud, the identity theft." Fletcher's expression collapsed like a souffle in a slammed oven. "You can't do that, Aubrey. We had a plan." "Your plan put me in an orange jumpsuit for 2 weeks," she hissed, leaning toward the camera. "Do you know what happens to your skin in county lockup? They don't exactly provide drunk elephant moisturizer in the commissary." I couldn't help but laugh. Her priorities remain impeccable. Here's the best part, Iris said, fast-forwarding slightly. And one more thing. Aubrey continued on screen, her voice dropping to a dramatic whisper. I sold the tell-all rights to my story. The Other Woman. How I Almost Escaped with America's Dumbest Fraudster. You did what? Fletcher's face contorted in horror. Netflix documentary series. Aubrey smirked. They're thinking 6 episodes. Don't worry, I used your good side in the photos I provided. The left one, where you don't have that weird ear thing. The call ended with Fletcher repeatedly yelling Aubrey's name as she disconnected with a little finger wave. I almost feel sorry for him, I mused, reaching for a chocolate croissant from the bakery box. Almost. Iris raised an eyebrow. Almost in the way you almost feel bad when a cartoon villain falls off a cliff after trying to drop an anvil on someone, I clarified. Theoretical sympathy that evaporates immediately when you remember context. My phone chimed with an email notification. The final divorce decree had been processed. Despite Fletcher's current address being the Bedford Falls Correctional Facility, the divorce proceedings had been surprisingly straightforward. When your soon-to-be ex is facing 15-20 years for multiple felonies involving your faked death, judges tend to be sympathetic to your property requests. It's official, I told Iris, holding up my phone. I am officially uncallowayed. Congratulations on your divorce from the worst criminal mastermind in upstate New York, Iris said, raising her coffee mug and toast. Please, he wasn't even the worst criminal mastermind on our block, I corrected. Remember when the Henderson's son tried to counterfeit $20 bills using green construction paper and a photocopier? At least Justin Henderson was 8 years old, not 42 with a Stanford MBA, Iris pointed out. I laughed, but felt a familiar pang of retrospective embarrassment. How did I not see it, Iris? 12 years of marriage, and I had no idea I was living with someone capable of faking my death for insurance money. Because normal people don't expect their partners to be practicing amateur obituary writing in their spare time, Iris replied. Hindsight makes fools of us all. Still, I sighed, scrolling through the divorce document. There were signs, the secret phone calls, the mysterious weekend conferences that never seemed to generate any email trails, the way he insisted we upgrade our life insurance right before my accident. You know what Fletcher's biggest mistake was? Iris asked, licking chocolate from her fingers. Besides the obvious felonies. What? Underestimating you, she said simply. He thought you were just another suburban wife who'd be too overwhelmed by grief to notice discrepancies in his story. I nodded, thinking about the women who'd approached me after my story broke. Other wives and girlfriends who'd spotted the warning signs of infidelity and fraud, but second-guessed themselves into silence. My inbox had become a confessional for women who'd been gaslit by partners, made to feel crazy for asking questions about missing money or unexplained absences. The doorbell rang again. This time it was Warren Griffin, carrying a large envelope and looking considerably more cheerful than when we'd first spoken. The insurance check, he announced without preamble, handing me the envelope. Not the death benefit, obviously, but the fraud victim compensation, plus interest. I invited him in for coffee, which he accepted with the enthusiasm of someone whose daily routine involved more fraudsters than friends. So what happens now with Fletcher's case? I asked, pouring him a cup. He's trying to negotiate a plea deal, but the prosecutor isn't feeling generous, Warren explained. 5 different charges across 3 jurisdictions, plus the attempted identity theft for the passport fraud. He'll be lucky to see daylight before he qualifies for senior discounts. And Aubrey? Iris asked. Rolled over faster than a trained dog, Warren said with professional admiration. Gave up everything in exchange for a reduced sentence. She'll probably get probation, maybe a few months in minimum security. She's already signed with a literary agent. Of course she has, I muttered, probably using my stolen moleskin notebook to draft chapters. After Warren left, Iris helped me hang the final touches in my new apartment. Framed covers of the magazine issues containing my Dead Wife column series. The latest featured a stylized illustration of me rising phoenix-like from memorial flowers, with the headline, Resurrection and Reinvention, Building a New Life After Being Declared Dead. Have you heard from Fletcher's parents? Iris asked as we adjusted the frame. Howard calls every few weeks to apologize for raising a criminal mastermind without the mastermind part, I said. Vivian sends care packages with homemade cookies and self-help books with titles like When Bad Men Happen to Good Women and Healing from Marital Betrayal. That's oddly sweet, Iris observed. It is, I agreed. They're decent people who are mortified by their son's actions. I've assured them they're not responsible for Fletcher's moral compass going haywire in middle age. My phone buzzed with a text from Monica Lawson. Her weekly attempt at reconciliation, which I continued to ignore with the serene patience of someone who had all the time in the world. Literally. When you've already died once, on paper, you become remarkably selective about who gets access to your second life. The Hudson Valley-style team had embraced my strange celebrity status, turning my personal catastrophe into our most successful editorial pivot in years. My editor's letter now closed with, "Very much alive and thriving," which had become something of a personal mantra. That evening, Noah came over for dinner, bringing case files for the book we were co-authoring, Playing Dead Inside the World of Faked Deaths and Insurance Fraud. It turned out my experience was surprisingly common, if usually less dramatically resolved. Your case study is still my favorite, Noah admitted as we spread documents across my dining table. Most insurance fraudsters at least make sure their spouse is out of cell phone range before declaring them dead. Fletcher always did think he was the smartest person in the room, I reflected. That's usually a fatal flaw in both Greek tragedies and criminal enterprises. As Noah organized interview transcripts, I stepped onto my small balcony overlooking the river, watching the sunset paint the water copper and gold. There was something poetic about having a view like this after years in a suburban house where the most exciting vista was the Johnsons' meticulous lawn care schedule in action. A year ago, I'd been Marlowe Calloway, comfortably married magazine editor, blissfully unaware that my husband was plotting my paper demise while embezzling from his company and sleeping with my friends. I'd been living what I thought was a good life, never questioning the occasional inconsistencies or convenient explanations. Now I had a new name, a new home, a successful column, a book deal, and perhaps most importantly, a finely tuned bullshit detector that would make airport security scanners seem imprecise by comparison. Fletcher had tried to write my ending, publishing my obituary without consulting the main character of the story. His critical error wasn't just the fraud or the embezzlement or even the cheating. It was assuming he controlled the narrative. But here's the thing about stories. They belong to the people who live them, not the people who try to edit them without permission. Fletcher tried to reduce me to a plot device in his escape fantasy. Instead, he became a cautionary tale in mine. I raised my wine glass to the setting sun, toasting my own unexpected resurrection and the sweet justice of Fletcher's downfall. Here's to living well, I whispered to the horizon. It really is the best revenge, especially when you get to watch your would-be murderer's booking photo go viral on Twitter. Somewhere in the Bedford Falls Correctional Facility, Fletcher Calloway was eating mystery meatloaf in an orange jumpsuit, wondering how his perfect plan had imploded so spectacularly. And I was here, very much alive, with a second chance at a first-rate life. It turns out that sometimes you have to die, at least on paper, to truly learn how to live.